Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good enough. Here we are.
I should have clapped after I hit record because I hit record after.
You clapped and then hit record.
Yeah.
That doesn't do much
That's
good.
that's how we know we're out of practice.
You don't know what ghetto style means right now.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll roll with it. We'll be fine. I don't know that you were supposed to clap somewhere around the time I did. Then
Yeah, we clapped straight on, but do you want to
That's great.
reclap?
No, we're rolling into it.
We're rolling.
This is episode something. I'll go ahead and introduce it, Andrew, if you can look up the episode number. But this is Three Brothers Talking, and this is David. I'm David.
I'm Andrew.
He's
I'm
Andrew.
here.
And no Jeremy this evening, morning, whenever you listen to this for this episode, because Jeremy literally just had his second child. So
Yes, he did.
that is what our last episode was about. We recorded that last episode, and we expected Jeremy. We weren't even sure that he was going to be able to finish the episode because we thought there's a chance that the baby was going to come during the episode. But baby girl held out for a few more weeks, actually. And now she's here, though, which is good.
I think
And-
we were on episode 39. by the way.
39. Episode
Yeah.
39. Almost the big 4-0.
Yeah.
We're
That's
almo-
where I just counted because you don't have the episode numbers on all the ones on iTunes.
Yikes.
But I counted from 32, and I think that's
Okay.
where we're at.
That's
But don't
really...
quote us on that, but
Next one's
yeah.
a big 4-0. We're turning middle age.
yes.
Our podcast becomes a midlife crisis.
Yes.
That's the next episode.
A nice oaky afterbirth.
Andrew's got the bourbon right now, which is why he just quoted the infamous Michael Scott there.
I was sniffing. Yep, I'm drinking it's a new bottle that Kaylee usually gets me a bottle or something for Father's Day, so she kept that going and got me Middle West Spirits, which is a Columbus distillery that I had
Okay.
not heard of before.
Gotcha.
Yeah, very it's a little it's not a it's just a straight up bourbon, but it's a little on the sweeter side, so it's
Okay.
definitely, I would say, definitely drinkable, like sippable for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Middle
so-
West spirits. They're not from the Midwest.
Yeah.
They're from the Midwest. The
Yeah.
Middle West, sorry. Not the Midwest.
Evidently they have a restaurant and stuff, which I might have to go check out sometime, but I had not heard of them previously, but they make pretty good bourbon.
We have restaurants again,
Yeah.
We have restaurants again. We're actually
We're back.
we're actually coming at you guys tonight from Flavortown, USA,
Yep.
because
It's official. and just so you guys know, my house is up for sale.
there you go.
We're moving.
We're moving out of Flavortown.
Yeah.
I'll hang out in Flavortown.
Kaylee
Town's gotta be named something.
Kaylee legitimately was so mad when that started circulating, and she was just like, "Babe, we will move. We will move.
We will not live in
100%.
Flavortown.
We are not living in a place that's called Flavortown."
You guys are fine.
And
You're not in the city
She
limits
was,
anyway.
she was, but she was literally like, "Let's go to Texas. I'm done. Like, yeah, just out of here."
That would have been. I mean, we had the naming that the people named that boat, that polar exploration boat was named Bodie McBoatface or whatever, a few
I
years
didn't-
back.
I didn't know
Yeah.
about this one.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was a British boat, and they put up an internet contest of what should we name the new boat, and
it was
people
Bodie McBoat.
that became the Bodie McBoatface was the winning thing.
Of course it was.
So of course we're not actually going to name our city.
See, and that,
Flavortown, but
that's where
Yeah.
you can't get ahead of the internet these days.
You can't do it.
You just can't. The internet's gonna win.
oh man.
Yeah.
So we're coming at you from Flavortown, even though neither of us are actually in Flavortown.
Yep.
I'm just going to start calling it Flavortown now. Who knows?
Do it around Kaylee, and just, it'll probably make her very upset.
We'll make. Let's just elect Guy Fieri our mayor. next time around.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean-
you know, you know what? The amount of like love that I have. This is not a podcast that esteems politicians highly most of the time. And so, like, maybe we give Guy Fieri
As a
try.
general rule, that's kind of where we lean.
Yeah, if you think that anyone on this podcast is ever like in love with a politician, and we're like
The answer is no.
yeah. If you think we're fanboys for anybody in particular, trust me, we're probably not.
We're not, yeah.
So you know, Guy Fieri might be. Maybe we'd.
He's probably just as good.
It's got my vote. Like, you know, maybe it's Kanye West, Guy Fieri. Next
that
election.
would be a ticket right
That's
there.
the ticket right there. You know.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's give them a shot.
Ange, I think we're getting too political. You know.
Yeah. Let's wade out of those waters.
Some people probably already are trying to.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're probably getting 1-star reviews. People who hate.
Don't insult the Kanye bid.
Don't insult the people who hate Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
Somebody out there hates that guy, and they're like giving us a 1-star review.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you could give us a 5-star review. I'm not sure if any content we've put forth in this episode is warranting of a 5-star review yet.
I would say we have not earned it yet, but
hey, you could give it to us on grace before we've even.
By
earned
the
it.
end of the episode, I think you'll be there. So you might as well go
Do it
ahead
now.
and hit 5 now.
You're gonna be busy later. Do it now.
Yeah. Do it now.
And actually, if you've already rated us before, just so you know, like in iTunes, you can actually re-rate. So even if you're just listening right now, just scroll down and just tap 5 stars again. Move on with your day. So anyway, Andrew's got the Middle West Spirits, and I've actually got Jeremiah Red Ale from BJ's Brew House. Like BJ's is a restaurant chain that's very good. And you can buy.
Did they have their beer package?
Yeah, you can buy them there, and I'm a big fan of this one. And they have really cool artwork. I love the artwork that they use.
Where'd you go to? Where's the BJ's at?
There's Easton. Easton's the closest one to me. Whenever I lived in your neck of the woods, we went to the one in Dublin all the time.
Oh yeah.
But I'm a fan.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's a very good drink. So I like the red ales because they give you like this bridge between the dark stuff and the light stuff. So there you go. That's my theory on that. We are going to talk about who knows this time around. We haven't recorded a podcast in a while. Andrew's been out of the game for like at least a month, I think.
Yep.
So here we go.
We've been up with Kaylee's family a lot, preparing. Also, we have a second child coming literally probably in the next, it's definitely within the next 3 weeks, but probably in the next week or two.
Oh, don't say definitely.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it really that soon? Probably within the next week or two?
Probably it could be.
Insane.
Yeah. So we've got to check up. So we're recording this on a Sunday night. She's got to check up this week on a Wednesday. And we'll see if things have progressed. But yeah, basically if we get to the end of this week, she's at 38 weeks. So
okay. Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's basically there. And
let me check your math on that.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I got too.
Yeah, and Lincoln came exactly 1 week early. So she already had, she's already pretty much ready to go, and we'll see what the doctor says this week. But yeah.
So whenever the first time around, you might be thinking, hey, I'm pretty sure I've heard this story before with Andrew and Jeremy, where they had babies close together. And that's true, The first time around, Andrew and Jeremy all had their babies 10 days apart. Is that right?
No,
10 days?
they're a little. So there's
the 1st and the 11th, I thought.
No, Micah's the 18th.
18th.
And we're the 1st.
Okay.
So there's about 2.5 weeks.
I don't know why I had the 11th in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2.5 weeks. And the due dates...
But that time we went first.
Yes.
And now they went first.
And the due dates for this time around seemed to be more spread apart.
Yeah.
But baby girl for Jeremy came...
Due date wise, we were over a month apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't seem like it's going to happen now.
No. Because Faith decided to go a little late, and we
Hey.
might be looking more towards the early side, so we might be jammed up yet again.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you guys just can't get out of each other's way there, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
basically.
So we're going to talk about some of the things that we talked about with Jeremy right before in the last episode, where we kind of talked about what it's like having a baby the second time through.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming a dad again,
Part 2.
part 2. Part 2B. So as you think about
I like
don't know.
to call it Dad Squared.
dad squared, becoming a dad squared, as you think about having a baby this time versus the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you're a week, 2 weeks out from it.
Yep.
What is the difference that you notice, or do you notice a difference between the two?
I don't know. I think this time around, for us, I think it's definitely gone a little easier. As far as like the preparation and like the stress about, needing all of the checklist items, all the things to do ahead of the baby coming. I feel like with the second child, you have a lot more things kind of in place just because we already have a young one in the house.
Yeah.
So there's a lot less that really needs to be done. And you realize from that first child being born and like the process that you went through, all the stuff that you did ahead of that isn't really necessary. And that's where a lot of that kind of goes by the wayside. Because
Yeah.
like even now, like we're planning on, like even this coming weekend, we have to go back to visit her family up in Cleveland. And we're going to have the hospital bag, just one bag ready to go. We're going to have the car seat in the car. And if we
Ooh.
happen to have to go to the hospital while we're up there, then that's what happens.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so we'll see. Like, it's just like, we got all the big things taken care of, the cribs put together again and
Yeah.
all that. But you realize that with Lincoln for the first month or two, a lot of things, like he's sleeping in the bedroom with us, and all the things that you thought you wanted, like his room to be perfect and put together, and all the toys and stuff put together, and everything, all that, all that stuff kind of goes by the wayside a little bit with kid number 2, because
Yeah.
you realize you have a lot more time afterwards, especially because we're going to be both off together and being able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
To be able to kind of work your way into it more.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I've been less stressed definitely this time around, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
And this time around, you guys are you're finding out the gender when you see the baby. That's when you're gonna know. How does it- how does
Whenever I catch her, him or her.
Him or
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Andrew just let it slip. He knows.
No, I do not know.
He does not, because
I'm
Kaylee
just
Kaylee would kill you if you knew. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're not supposed to know.
Absolutely.
Nobody's supposed to
Yeah.
know. So how do you feel any difference, like looking at that? And are you sure? Do you feel like you're sure of it being one or the other? Do you have like a gut feeling?
So the whole time I had been leaning towards a girl, and just because I think I kind of want a little girl.
Yeah.
And I think before we're finished having kids, we definitely, want to have a girl.
Yeah.
So
Might as well do it now.
yeah, might as well. But the more and then I think as the pregnancy's worn on, I've leaned back to be like, it might, what if
Might
we
be a
just have
boy.
what if we have another boy? And that'd be cool too. So you find yourself kind of playing through the situations of just what if it's both ways of, okay, if I
Yeah.
got another little boy running around the house and chasing around Lincoln, who's the older brother, that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, what if I have a little girl and then I got my little princess here
Yeah.
that is different from Lincoln in so many ways. And, it's just kind of weird to play mentally through those two situations
Yeah.
of hey, I get to either do kind of this all over again with the same process and all the cool things that I did with Lincoln.
Yeah.
Or it's something completely new and get to take on, the challenge of raising a little girl. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think like part of the dynamic of having a second kid is not only you're adjusting to managing two kids, but also obviously your child adjusts to like another baby in the house, right?
Yep.
And when you think about that transition, do you think it feels like as big of a step going from like 0 babies to 1 baby? Does it feel like a similar step going from 1 to 2, or does it feel like more
I think it's
yeah.
I think it's less of a step.
Yeah. It doesn't
Going
scare
from
you
1
as
to
much.
2. Yeah, it definitely doesn't scare me as much.
Were you looking
as-
back now, were you terrified of like having the first kid at all? Or would you say like you felt confident?
Um,
In the moment, you're probably just a mixture of like excitement, terrified,
yeah.
all the above. But now you like look back on it and you're like, I don't know, you might be able to see with more clarity. Like how, yeah.
I mean, I think I was definitely I was more on the nervous side. And that's where, like, I mean, like I talked about, I think on here, that, like, that's what led the first go around with, like, even fights through that first year of Lincoln's life with Kaylee, of just, like, wanting to be the perfect parent and wanting to make sure Lincoln at every aspect, was, whether I think he needed something and Kaylee think he didn't need something.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, that's what led to a lot more strife between us than anything else. But then you realize that, like, he gets over, and, like, so many things, like I said, like, aren't as important once you look back at them. And that's why I think kind of looking at raising a second child coming up, like, I think a lot of those things might be a little easier going just between me and Kaylee's relationship, because we realize that, like, a child is adaptable. A child, like there's a lot of things that you think you have to control every single aspect, and like your partner might not be on the same page as you. But the child, it's learning new things every day, and there's so many things that really you want to manage down to the minute level that you don't really need to. So
this is like Rachel and I don't have kids, but what I have been learning, in reality, God has probably been teaching me this for a long time, and I'm stupid enough to have just like figured out that he's teaching me this lately. But I guess I've learned that I can be I never thought of myself as a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Because I'm not somebody that is super precise. I'm not like a details person. I'm not like I'm not like the typical perfectionist in that respect, I guess. Like, I don't think of myself as exacting and like with tasks. I'm okay with like just getting it done, not like nailing it, and my wife would say this, that she's much more of a like perfectionist in that way, where like getting things done, you got to get it done right, you got to get it done exactly. But what I've learned is that I have a certain perfectionism in me that can just wreck relationships and marriage and stuff, which I think is something that you kind of like talked about there. Like, you have an urge to be the perfect parent and like to nail every day and like to nail every instance of challenge, every instance of whatever. Like, for me, it can be is like anytime a certain topic comes up, I want people to think about it perfectly or like know perfectly. So it's like, well, here we go. I'm going to give you the essay about boom, boom, boom. Like, here's the perfect answer to that. With a kid, it's like whenever they misbehave, all right, I got to handle this perfectly, and I've got to correct the behavior perfectly, because then they'll never mess up again, right? That's like the way you think about it. Or with a spouse, it's like you see them doing something that you think isn't helpful to them, isn't good, and so you you want to encourage and like exhort them a little bit, and you want to do it like you don't think you're nitpicking, you don't think you're this or that, but you can easily do that.
Yep.
And I have definitely been learning like the very fine balance between hands off and like being active but not being overactive, I guess. Like that fine line between being hands on and hands off with other with other people's spiritual growth. And I'll say like with our marriage for Rachel and I, like you're both hands on and you're hands off. Like you're obviously a part of things and responsible for things, and you have to be intentional and you have to work and you have to know what you're doing. But you also like, if you try to, what I do, like if you try to just plug in the right ideological framework and like squeeze hard, you think it'll just come out right. And it's like, it's not it. Like you're people with emotions, and it's complicated, and parenting, I'm sure, is much the same way. And that sort of perfectionism and that ability to live with imperfection, ability to live with figuring it out.
Well, you realize, you realize the things that frustrate you, like day by day, you're reassured, just like watching Lincoln getting through all these phases of life, of just like when I'm worried about, when he didn't eat a great dinner and he was extra fussy and didn't sleep great or something like that. And then like he wakes up in the morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, smiling up at me, and he goes and eats a great breakfast and he's ready to play. You realize that like your kid, you have to allow grace, and like there can be a lot of frustration, like nitpicking those types of things of just like, well, what'd you try to feed him at dinner, and what didn't work, and what can I try to fix? And it's like, I feel like that with kid number 2 should be, hopefully, me and Kaylee can walk through this with a little more grace. And just know that, like, ultimately, I think I'm prepared. Hopefully, I feel like right now, beforehand, I'm a little more prepared to just see, because I've seen that God has sustained Lincoln in spite of me nitpicking and all that, and like him, and me worrying about every single detail, because I'm a very detail oriented person. And
hashtag
it's just
accounting,
that's where I feel like kid number 2, hopefully I have the freedom and I can give some grace to just trust a little more in those aspects.
All right, I'm going to ask you another question. I'll tell it to you now, because that way you can think about these questions, and then I'm going to go on a little mini rant, I guess. But so the questions would be like, how do you think God has changed you from who you were the first kid versus now? And then also, how does having a kid make you learn more about Jesus's work for you, So how has God changed you from who you were then to now you're approaching the second kid? Do you feel like a different person? And then also, like, how does being a parent, how does having a kid make you reflect differently maybe on God's work? And my mini rant is as follows. So, which, by the way, I think this is only the second pod that Andrew and I have done without Jeremy, I think.
Yeah.
I think that I've been a part of 2. This is not the rant. I think that I've been a part of 3 without Andrew, because I think if we count the last one with Jared, I think that makes it 3. Which Jared finally made an appearance on the pod after many like talks about him being on it. But anyway, here's my rant, and it goes off of what we were just saying. That perfectionism will just kill your marriage, or it'll kill your joy. And I just think I've learned about myself that I have to be careful, because I'm not a details perfectionist in terms of a task or whatever. So I've had to learn what my brand of perfectionism is, And I think probably almost all of us have our own struggle with that kind of idea in us, where there's some part of us spiritually or emotionally or in life that we either where we feel that pool of perfectionism and wanting to like nail it and be perfect. And we also want the people around us to nail it, and we want them to be perfect. Like for our wives, we want our wives to be whatever, for our kids, whoever we feel like responsible for. Like we want to be perfect. And for some people, it's like we want our house to look perfect. For some people, you know, it's we want our jobs to look perfect. We want our lives to look perfect. We want in the church, maybe we want people to be impressed with us, and we want to look perfect in the church, and we want to have a perfect reputation. And I know for me, like one of the biggest temptations is that I would want to be known as like the guy with perfect knowledge. And I prize that so much that I can want my wife or my family to also be known for that. And so whenever I feel like they threaten that by saying one little thing or feeling one little thing that's out of line, I'm like ready to go to war and like fix it, you know? And what I've learned is that going to war with your family is not good. And yeah, you have to watch that perfectionism. You have to be cognizant of the fact that like that is not what life's about, and that's not the only having, you know, perfect knowledge or perfect perspective, all this stuff. That's not how you always please God. It's not how you always show maturity. That it's more than that, you know. And so I guess I'm saying be wary of whatever your perfectionism is. Like whatever that thing is that kind of tempts you to micromanage and nitpick other people. I don't know. I guess I'm learning that I do that more than I thought I did. And yeah, it'll kill you, so don't do it.
It's good.
Yeah, I hope it's good. It was that was good. We kind of stumbled upon that. So, you got any thoughts on that, or do you want to hit those questions that I brought up to you?
No, I was just thinking. I mean, I was thinking over the questions too. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add.
Right on. Well, then take it away with the questions. So, how has God changed you from baby 1 to baby 2, and then how does having a kid make you learn about your relationship with God, with Christ? Take it away.
The one, I was like, as far as first God changing me, I think it just comes down to
we're gonna ask Kaylee. We're gonna ask Kaylee these questions too, and see if she gives the same. It's like the newlywed game.
Hopefully, hopefully at least to her, it's evident that like my spirit is a little calmer, and like that's where like getting back to like the preparation and all that ahead of time, like I feel like I am definitely in a place now where God has changed me to just trust him more day by day. Yeah. And this gets back to me in the beginning, just trying to nitpick about every aspect of being the perfect parent, and realizing that all that was for naught, and realizing day by day, and this is still ongoing, that I see, and this also leads into the second question too, but like my prayers over Lincoln every single night being answered, and Lincoln developing every single day with these new capabilities and all that, and realizing that God is sustaining him, not me.
Yeah.
And that's just given me so much more, it's grown my faith, I think, a whole lot. Just to be able to trust more day to day that I am a control freak, and he had to really pry that, I think, out of me a lot in that first year of Lincoln's life, from me trying to control every aspect of parenting.
Yeah.
That hopefully this time around I will be better at that.
Good news. There's probably more.
But like, I was like, there's still a whole lot that like that's where I realize now that like there's still a whole lot from just like, trusting that God is sustaining, especially in our current situation, that like God is sustaining my household's health and Lincoln's health, and God's going to sustain, our finances and for kid number 2. And as I try to prepare everything we can, for those extra expenses and everything like that. And I realized that, like, yeah, that can reach, into so many more areas that I still have to, pry my hands off of in a lot of ways. And this gets into this. I reflect on this quite a bit as far as parenting and how it reveals just Christ's sacrifice and what it means to all of us, because you see the development of Lincoln as a personality every single day.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he comes out, one day and he's, not saying particular words or everything like that, and the next day he's a parrot and wants to repeat everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, like you blink once and so much has changed. Just in him and like what's developing in his brain.
Yeah.
That is just so cool to watch, that like God has developed and he's placed this soul inside a kid that I get to parent. And that soul is developing and learning new things. And that soul ultimately has the same, end goal of loving and glorifying the creator. And I get to just be a steward, hopefully, of that and urge that on. And like, it's so cool to see, like, in your own kid that, like, you had, ultimately God blessed him and created him.
Yeah.
But like you had a part in creating that life.
Yeah.
And you get to see that soul and that personality come out every single day. And it just shows you of just like how, God's hand at work in creation is a beautiful thing. And it all just points back to the fact of why we're here in the first place.
Yeah.
As your kid starts talking, as your kid starts, developing his quirks and all that, that just becomes so much more evident.
I think it's cool that, like, the joy that I've seen you and Jeremy have, as you watch your kid just develop. I think that gives me a perspective as I think about encouraging and caring for other people, as I think about how God encourages and cares for me, that like he has that joy over, like, you have that joy over Lincoln, like just putting his shoes on or something, like, you like it's something, it's just, it can fill you with joy. And then I think about the fact that God has that joy over me. And then this goes back to the perfectionism thing. He has that joy over other people. So even though I look at them and I think they have so much to learn, just like you look at your son and you think he's got so much to learn, right? Yeah. But at the same time, there's still a present immense love for him. Yeah. And there's still
a present immense joy for the little steps that he's taking.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just for the day by day, like the new things that you get to see.
Yeah, and if you're tied down by perfectionism and wanting to be justified by your perfectionism, you're going to miss all those little steps, because you're going to be you're only going to be looking for the things you want to look for and focus on. So, that's something that I think God will have to beat out of me once we have kids, because if he doesn't, I'll be in trouble. So,
well, I was like, regardless, you're gonna see it. It might be rough in the beginning or whatever, but it's gonna flesh its way out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so crazy that the joy that you get from him developing day by day, and you see that, like, oh wow, God, my worship, my life in trying to glorify God is bringing joy as well. Ultimately you see that developing in, hopefully, Lincoln. And it's so weird to have that you have a new relationship of like you're a father to someone here, that you have parented here on earth, but yet ultimately you get a much different perspective of your heavenly Father over you.
Yeah. That's good. You know what? I think we stumbled onto some 5-star material actually through all this. I'm just going to be honest. I think we got there. Yeah, I think we got there in the end. But one of the capabilities that you talked about Lincoln having is that he is an incredibly he has this habit that whenever he arrives at a location, he gets out of the car and he'll like run around for a long time. He just runs around.
You should see him because he
just runs around.
You're not in the car with him because like whenever he knows the place that we're going to, he's still rear facing and he can kick our back seat that he's like sitting up against, and like he is raring to go before we even get him out of the car seat of just like when he hears the car going park, he just starts kicking that back seat.
Like, I'm ready to go.
He just kick, and he's just like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And then it's basically like he's revving up for me to like set him on the ground, and then he just takes off and he's like, yeah.
It sounds like an exaggeration, but this is 100% true that he gets to our parents' house and he just comes in and he literally runs laps through the house. You're like, oh, is he going to find something? Is he going to get a toy? Is he?
No, he's just excited.
Yeah, he literally runs to the other room, then he'll like run back, and then he'll just run back to the room. It doesn't make any sense. And he smiles. He smiles the whole time he does it.
Yeah, he's a trip, and I mean, my kid, Micah and Ella, as far as the other two cousins, like they're still a little more cautious.
Cousins of that age.
Yeah, cousins of that age. They're still a little more cautious with like they're all walking, but like they're still a little more cautious with their movement. Lincoln is just full speed all the time.
Yeah.
Just like wherever he wants to go, he's booking it to that place. And he has no regard for like his personal safety or health. So like if you're not watching out for him, he's gonna take a dive or do whatever he needs to do to get where he wants to go.
I said today, this might only make sense to people who have seen him run, but I said today, it's like he's a little surprised every time his feet actually hit the ground. Like the way that he runs, he's getting reassured. Yeah. Like he's like he just knows that he's moving, but he's also like kind of surprised with every step that it worked. And he's but that surprise doesn't make him slow down. He is like, I'll just keep going faster.
He is running. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
but it's so funny, because, like, he, especially now, because, like, I do the bedtime routine typically with him. Yeah. And he's 100% go, 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 will not show any signs of, like, getting tired. He'll start to, like, get fussy or cranky, and that's when you know. But, like, he doesn't slow down. And then you can literally, like, I can take him upstairs when it's bedtime. I can just... pray, like we get him his blankie. I pray over him. I can lay him down fully awake. Like after that point, I kiss him goodnight. Yeah. And like I lay him down. His eyes are wide open. He'll literally I'll lay him down. He'll roll over to his stomach, get into his comfy position, and he's out within 2 minutes.
That's just like you, man. That's just like you. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is so great because that is me. Like if I sit still for
Little known fact, Andrew and I shared a room for a long time, so I know that's true. Yeah.
So I was like, this is my little kid right now. Yeah. But it's so funny that he just go, and then he's out like a light switch.
Sharing that room is what gave us this podcast magic, though.
Yep.
So
all the riff. All the riffing.
all the podcast magic. Do you have any recommendations? I realized I didn't. I normally come to the table with a few.
Can I drop another podcast?
No, not unless they pay us.
If it's a friend's podcast?
Yeah.
So let me make sure I get the name right. So yeah, my friend, this is completely like, not as far as what we're going for as far as content, but he's doing, if you're into classic rock at all,
Okay.
this is my friend Tyler, and he started his podcast recently with a couple friends of his, and he's going through a summer of 70s music,
Oh, cool.
where basically every episode is a deep dive of an artist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's called it's on iTunes. It's called Summer Forecast High of 70s.
This guy.
So yeah, he's pretty good as far as producing it goes. I've listened in, and I enjoy.
Let's be honest. His production quality is probably nowhere near
Yeah.
ours. I mean,
So his first episode was really good. It was about Simon and Garfunkel.
okay.
So if you like classic rock and you want to hear about some of these classic bands, and it's like, it's something different to listen to,
Yeah.
then you might get a little bit of background, a little bit about their,
There we go.
the different albums they put out. So yeah,
Right on.
give him a listen, give him a 5-star review or whatever.
Even
So,
if you don't listen, just go and stop over and give him a review.
yeah,
Yeah. That's certainly a recommendation that I did not have because I didn't know it
Yeah.
existed. So now
Yeah.
I know.
well now you know, and you could listen too.
I'm
yeah.
going to. I
Yeah.
like old music, so I'm in. My recommendation to completely like juke left is something that I was just thought of today. Like we should be grateful for the grace we've been shown,
Mhm.
and do what it takes to spend time today dwelling on the fact that you've been shown grace. You've been shown grace to save you from sin. You've
Mhm.
been shown grace to save you from death, to save you from eternal separation from God, the eternal judgment of God that you and I deserve. Like, I can only explain it that today was actually our first Sunday where our church was gathering in person again. And there was a moment where our pastor, during his sermon, just I could tell like he is talking about the gospel proper, we would say, and I could tell like it hit him. The kids say today it hit different, right? Because there was people in the room as he's preaching for the first time in months.
Yeah.
And having like I preached a few times without people in the room, and it's different.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it struck me of like, man, this grace is really amazing. And we sit in it all the time and do whatever that is. If it's whatever, if there's a music that always like triggers that in you, if there's sermons, if it's reading passages of scripture, whatever it is, like just think about it. Think about that grace that we've been shown. And enjoy it. Enjoy it. Literally enjoy that grace. And absolutely. I think we did all right. We did all right. Episode 39. We did it.
We did it.
We did it. And who knows? Maybe Jeremy will be back next time. That depends. That depends more on when we record our next one.
Yeah, and maybe I'll be gone with a
Maybe
with a baby,
Andrew will be gone with another baby. We'll get you live from the room because I heard Kaylee, Jeremy, and Faith's home birth went so well that you guys, I think Kaylee was saying, you guys are doing that.
Oh, she is not. Yeah.
I said I was gonna get that joke in today, and so I'm glad I did.
All right, she'll listen in, and yeah, she'll be upset, but
that is not the Andrew and Kaylee plan. So
no,
all right,
we are going to the hospital. Yeah, we'll report back how it is. With all this current situation going on, and
there we go. But you'll be in the hospital for sure.
Yes, we've had some friends go, and literally, like, if everything's good, you're in and out in 24 hours.
They're all about it now.
Yeah. So we'll see how quick and efficient this one happens.
We'll see if the next one is live from Andrew's Live from Andrew and Kaylee's
Yeah.
delivery room. We'll see. You know?
Kaylee's, feeding the baby, and we're recording.
That's some podcast material right there.
Yeah, she would love it.
Everyone
Yeah.
would love it. That's what the
Yep.
world is waiting on.
Yep.
All right. Well, we did
right.
all right. We got it. We managed one without Jeremy. You know, we limped
Yep.
along,
We
and
didn't fall apart.
got some good recos in. We stumbled across 5-star territory. Share the episode. But until then, until next time, we'll see you guys next time.